we're just gonna get through this incredible Obi-Wan series. That's all we have to do, right?
That's it.
That's it.
All
That
we
was
have
all
to
that was
do.
on my itinerary.
Which
Yeah,
is great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Not even one story broke to my team. Really?
I mean, honestly.
Okay.
Well, the Jewel one. If you're interested, we
Well, I
wrote
did
up
that.
the Jewel one.
Remember, did I tell the Jewel story?
You did tell the Jewel story
You did.
about the
That's
old
why
CEO and
we
you.
thought we could do the quick one at the end if you want it.
I can do a quick hit about Jewel. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but
right,
Star
we can
Trek
do it.
first. We got 45 minutes of
Not
Molly's
Star Trek,
interview.
Star Wars.
That interview,
Star Wars.
that interview yesterday is the for today is really good.
45 minutes. Yep.
We had 45 minutes. I did try to keep it
Oh no, it's okay.
to
It's
30,
okay,
but
but
it
it-
just was not. It didn't need to be.
I think we got to have Cuban's CEO on next. And
We definitely do. Yeah.
Okay. And so are we doing let's do the intro after. So
Okay.
in case we do that other show, we can 3, 2. All right, everybody. Everybody's favorite day of the week is here. It's Thursday. Thursdays when we have Lon Harris on. He's LONS on Twitter. He does inside.com/streaming and does a couple of other projects. Where else can people find you, Lon Harris?
Oh, there's I do a podcast with Hal Rudnick where we talk about streaming shows every week. That's called Binge Boys. It's on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. And
Binge Boys.
I'm Binge Boys. That's right. And I write for Honest Trailers on Screen Junkies. That's the big YouTube Honest Trailer show. You can find that at Honest Trailers or go to Fandom Entertainment. And that's where we do the weekly Honest Trailer commentaries where I give my thoughts and opinions and review of whatever we did the Honest Trailer on. That week, it was the Halo series we did this week.
Very nice.
Showtime, Paramount Plus.
I didn't get to finish it. Again,
I
we were
really
drowning in
liked
streaming.
it. I really
You finished
liked
it?
that. Yeah.
My Lord. You know what? That's it. I'm a new thing for my team members.
No more weekends.
No, we're now going to have
Took me 3
everybody
months.
do time blocking for streaming. I want to see how much you people are
Well, we're
streaming.
gonna have to.
Wow.
There's a lot of streaming going on. Can you
It took
imagine
me
if they counted
2
the hours
months,
of streaming we're all doing?
2.5 months, I think, to finish the Halo series, but I liked it. I mean, I'm like a child when it comes to entertainment. My needs are very simple. But
Most stuff,
I
yeah.
thought it
think
was surprisingly good.
I think a lot of us were expecting a little more action. A lot of the fans were
Yeah.
annoyed that it doesn't follow the plot of the games. I don't mind that so much, but it felt like a lot of brooding, it was pretty ponderous.
Actually,
I want
be-
more Spartans running around shooting aliens, you know?
I think you know what? You're totally right because it took me 2.5 months to finish it. And the first few months was episodes 1 through 5, which I was like, ugh.
It's kind
And then
of a
episode
slog,
6
man.
and episode 9 are basically the video game. And you're like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I want the
That's
shooty.
probably why I'm
shooty,
left
not-
with a positive feeling because, yeah,
less talk. Yeah.
less
All
feelings.
right. Well,
less shooting.
let's get into Obi-Wan here. This is and of course, this is going to be filled with spoilers. You can just look at your podcast player in the show notes and go ahead. If you're on youtube.com/thisweekend, if you look in the summary, you hit that down carrot, you can open up the summary, the description of the video, and we put timestamps. So you can just go to the next timestamp.
There you go.
and-
So
and
if you're
skip
that
this.
one guy on Twitter who's like, don't talk about Star Wars because I don't like it, we
Well, there's
solved
a-
it for you.
Molly, I don't know if you saw the new device, Molly, but people want to talk about the weekly show. So what they do now is they say Obi-Wan spoilers below, and then
Yep.
they do a dot,
noticed that.
each with a new line, and then
Yeah.
after about 10 dots down, so you have to open up the tweet, basically.
Yeah, that's super smart. I
So-
just saw that today.
Also
Super
good for
smart.
engagement. I think that's how you break the algorithm, is if people open up your tweet, they're more likely to
Smart.
like it, and
Engage.
I think you get more engagement. Anyway, episode 6 happened.
The finale.
The finale.
That's it.
Mhm.
And-
I think it feels like Ewan is on the internet this week saying he wants to do more, maybe a season 2, but this felt very like a final note to me.
I
don't
too
wanna-
felt that way.
Season
That
2.
this felt like this was like a cherry on top, just chef's kiss.
This seamlessly moves you into A New Hope. We've got everything in place. He's found Qui-Gon. They're going through the canyon to his new cave home where Luke will find him. It just seems like what more is there to do? This leaves it on just a perfect like grace note.
Which you could also be said for Rogue One, which seamlessly, literally frame by frame, connects to it. So,
well, and we know we have Andor coming up, which is 24 episodes, 2 seasons, and it's the whole formation of the Rebel Alliance. So my bet would be some of the characters that we've met, O'Shea Jackson Jr. as Roken, Kumail Nanjiani as Haja. I feel like a lot of these faces might come up again because we're going to see the path get integrated into the Rebel Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Smits, Bail Organa. So it's
all these figures are now like in play because they've created the immediate, like the proto
the guy
rebellion.
in the black suit, Darth. Vader.
Like I love that. That was just to take that moment where they had him refer to him as Darth, which is kind of a retcon thing, because when Lucas wrote A New Hope and has Obi-Wan Kenobi refer to Darth Vader as just Darth, he didn't know that the standard would be all Sith Lords have a Darth and then their name, like Darth Sidious, Darth Plagueis, Darth, like.
Right,
yes.
Right. That it's a title, not a name.
Alec Guinness, probably the actor, didn't realize Darth was a title, thought it was just his name, and so he refers to him like, "Well, hello, Darth." And so having Ewan McGregor do that here makes it a bit that he's doing, instead of he doesn't know that his first name isn't Darth.
That's actually delightful, especially because it was such a kind of sweetly awkward delivery. Like he's like,
right,
okay,
Darth.
I guess that's your new name now.
Now it's a dig. Now
it's a dig. Yes, you're just dark. Like,
right.
Well, because he says, you're just another generic Sith.
I killed Anakin Skywalker. I'm Darth Vader now. He's like, well, hello, Darth. Like it's almost a joke at his expense now, which I like. Is it recreates that moment in A New Hope. It's like, oh, he knows what he's saying.
I'm watching so many YouTube videos of like people's reaction to this show and everything, and I got an Alec Guinness on his yacht talking about Star Wars in like 87 or something. It's a great video.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I just kept turning the pages. It was great. I mean, the dialogue it needed work. I mean, it was not. But he's like, somebody like writes in the comments, like, did you know he had like points in this? And then somebody, they're jumping off at links to another video where somebody says, you had 3 points of the gross, and Star Wars says, well, not that much. And it was clear Alec Guinness had made points on the gross of this thing and made many, many, many millions of dollars for a part he did not want to do, basically, or was, and he said he punched up the dialogue.
At that point in his career, I mean, we're talking about a Shakespearean actor, like one of the world's most, like regaled, celebrated actors. And this was a point in Hollywood where it was more common for that to happen. Like, you'd be celebrated in your own country, but if you wanted a paycheck, you could go, like even in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where DiCaprio goes to Italy to make some schlock for a few years. Like that was more common in those days. It wasn't as much of an international film business. So for Guinness, this was like, oh, I'll go to America and make this schlocky genre thing. And then I'll come back and we'll do, Lear.
All right. Let's get right into it. Who wants to run us through some of the bullet points, and then I guess we give commentary here.
All right, so a little recap. You got our 2 storylines converging. Reva is horribly wounded after being, we think, once again stabbed with a lightsaber, but too angry to die, as one review put it. Mm-hmm. Arrives on Tatooine to try to find Luke. Vader, meanwhile, is chasing Obi-Wan in the path, and Obi-Wan leaves the ship so that the path can escape, and Vader will chase him. And then they land on this sort of like nearby planet, which to me was reminiscent of the little canyon that Luke walks through to sort of explore his dark side.
Right. Yeah.
Questions
on Dagobah.
On Dagobah. Like I thought it had a similar look to that sort of Dagobah dark forest that Luke walks through. But anyway, they have a super cool lightsaber fight. Obi-Wan regains all of his Jedi powers through the course of it. There's, of course, that, in the awesome TV arc thing, a moment when everyone seems beaten and then the good guys fight back. And then you see, actually, which is kind of lovely, Owen and Beru, like, as Beru in particular, just be like a badass. Like, we're going to fight for this kid and we're going to, get our guns out. And so they have a fight. She almost kills Luke. Reva almost kills Luke with the lightsaber when he's knocked unconscious. And rediscovers her own good side of the Force. And everything is just wrapped up in a delightful, tidy, lovely little bow. And now we're ready for New Hope.
Lon, favorite scene in this episode? I think I could guess.
Oh, wow.
There are two really poignant ones.
I mean, I love the lightsaber fight is great. You actually predicted the helmet, forehead, scalp slash moment where he breaks open the helmet, that recalls a moment from, I believe it's a Star Wars Rebels, where Ahsoka busts Darth Helmet's Vader's helmet open, and we get like a little strip of Anakin's face. I love the way they did that in this. How we would go back from Hayden Christensen's voice to James Earl Jones's voice box, and
That
it was really that
super cool.
both of them in one body kind of moment.
Yes,
I thought
that is the goal.
Really well done and cool. And then it was really delightful to see Qui-Gon show up again at the end. Liam Neeson.
For your generation, especially, you're a little younger than me.
I'm sure for the prequel kids, it's very cool. I was already in college when Phantom Menace came out, so it's just nice how it ties it all together.
Yes.
With the old show. I feel like in some way this and Mandalorian, I like both shows very much, but they're almost like opposite value propositions. Mandalorian it's this action show, it's episodic, it's like we're going to open up this whole new little corner of the Star Wars world and just do a fun little adventure in it. And then this was really like the fun of this show was tying all these threads together and making it feel like we're really bridging the gap between the prequels and the original trilogy.
Is the main point, Molly. This is episode 3.5.
Exactly, yeah.
They created episode 3.5 because a lot happens between Anakin being defeated on Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith and Obi-Wan, lowering his lightsaber to be turned, essentially opting into becoming a Force ghost. Nobody understands what happens in that scene. It's like, oh my God, he just disappeared. He's a ghost when Darth Vader strikes down old man Obi-Wan. But now you understand why Obi-Wan did that. He had defeated Darth Vader on Mustafar and on this new planet. He couldn't kill him both times. He had so much love for him, he could not kill Anakin. He walked away both times from absolutely trouncing him. In one, he cut off 3 of his legs. In this one, he slices his skull in half and his back. He got a shot in his back and could have killed him both times. He couldn't kill his friend. And his friend was so filled with rage in the final instance in A New Hope, he lowers the lightsaber, says, I'm not going to even try to kill you. You can kill me. I'm gone anyway. I'm moving on, and we're going to have a bigger purpose here. Yeah. And I guess that's what he learns from Qui-Gon when he goes to the desert is there's a bigger purpose here. You can move on. And there's something about Jedi moving on to this, Force ghost.
Well, we sort of see it's a similar beat with Luke at the end of Last Jedi, where some people read it as the amount of concentration he required to project himself to Crate from where he was meditating on Octo, I believe was the name of that planet. So you could read that as well. It's the energy he had to expend. That's what killed him. But he does just sort of. He just disappears. He just becomes like one with the Force. Yeah.
The Noties are having a debate that I also wondered about, which is this question of why Reva because it's not clear in episode 5 whether she realizes that Luke is Vader's son.
Oh no, she knows it.
So she knows it, and
she says something about the kids. He said, I think because I rewatched that scene. He says in the recap, his kids. We have to go check on his kids. So that's when she, with that little device, realized it's Vader's kids.
Right. I think she figures
and so
out.
Then Luke she goes to answer the question of what people are asking, which is then why would she go kill Luke? It's to get revenge on Vader.
Yes. And I think the idea
having slaughtered all the younglings.
And I see people are commenting, but Vader doesn't know about Luke. It's like, well, she would tell it like that. We've already established that Reva loves to dangle lord information over people. That would be her revenge. She would go tell Darth Vader, you had a son and I killed him.
Or even better, I mean, she's walking back with what you think might be a dead Luke Skywalker, which obviously doesn't make any sense unless they were going alternate universe with this episode.
Yeah, we kind of know. I think by that
point, we know he's not dead, but he looks pretty dead. I mean, imagine
by that point, I think we figured it out.
Imagine she brings young Luke Skywalker's 10-year-old body to Darth Vader.
Exactly.
Here's your son. I killed him just like you killed my friends. I mean, it's pretty dark.
She's delighted in being the one who gets to tell Obi-Wan Anakin is still alive and he's Darth Vader. She would that would be part of her delicious revenge, would be telling him about it.
I have to say, like, both of these lightsaber battles now are, they're so amazing because the lightsaber battle that occurred in Revenge of the Sith was a great lightsaber battle, on Mustafar. You thought like, hey, this is peak Jedi. And now you see something different. That was peak Jedi fighting each other, but now you have peak Sith Lord and peak, Jedi fighting each other. and all this fabric between them. So I thought that was like choreographed amazingly. Reva's character arc amazing, turns out to be amazing, to be a good. I thought it was a satisfying character arc, because you have to have something else in there, I guess. It can't
it's
just all be
heartbreaking and kind of
yeah. I thought a better ending would have been for Obi-Wan after she goes to see Leia, to get back in the ship, and Reva's in the ship.
I thought that was going to happen for sure. I was
then
waiting for it. Like, yay.
He delivers her to complete her Jedi training to Dagobah. That would have been, for me, the most satisfying.
That would have been.
He goes to see Yoda, and Yoda says, too old to complete the training. She is. Or he then trains her, and just her sitting there. What do you think? You like
I was hoping for that. I was really hoping for that.
You like
that? I think they're only not putting that bow on it because it's probably still being decided what they're doing with her, or they're going to pick. I don't think she's gone for good.
Her becoming a Jedi would be next level. Completing her Jedi training would be incredible.
I don't think a lot of these dangling threads that we've been left with are going to just be left dangling for too long. I think we're obviously seeing, Quinlan. Quinlan was here. Like all of these little things that we've set up. Who are those dead Jedi in amber that are being preserved? Why we never got an answer there. All those things are being set up for a future show, a future movie. They're going to pick all these threads.
I mean, I will say, I also thought that was going to happen, that Reva was going to be in the ship. And I was like, you should take her and train her and whatever. And also I was like, you should do that for safety purposes, because she now knows that Luke is here. Like, I was like, I watched enough action movies that I had a moment of wondering, like, is Obi-Wan just going to heartbreakingly now have to kill her because she knows this big secret,
Not the way of the Jedi.
To me, it would have been better security to bring her
but
to
not
be
the way
trained
of
as a
the
Jedi.
Jedi.
But then make sure she's like okay and taken care of, instead of just like, okay, peace out. I see you have a big owie.
I think they let that go for another time. Like they can do a little flashback scene, which is like one of the things Star Wars is good at, is not filling in all the gaps and let your imagination run wild. Like, what were the Clone Wars like? Oh, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars. We waited 20 years to find out what the Clone Wars were like, right? So there was another great scene. So number one scene for me was the speech and the discussion. I'll pull up the copy of it in a second, between Anakin and Luke, because he says, I killed Vader. It's not your fault. I killed Anakin.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely correct. The modulation of the voice, incredible scene, taken directly from Rebels when Ashoka battles Darth Vader and cracks his skull open. So they and then also as we talked about in the penultimate episode, when he pulls down the ship, there's a video game scene where he pulls down a Star Destroyer. But I have to say, I got incredibly emotional. I don't want to admit this, but I got very emotional. I'm not going to say I cried like Molly does. But when he says, I'm sorry, Anakin, for everything. And then he says, I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. That scene was incredibly moving to me. And I just thought, my God, they've written dialogue that is actually not terrible for Star Wars now. Like this actual dialogue to me, Lon, I don't know if you noticed it, but they're really working on the dialogue to, it's quippy. Like, the original Star Wars series had some good quips in it, but they're actually making more poignant dialogue. This has to be something they're consciously doing, right?
I don't know if you noticed, some of these episodes had the name Stuart Beatty in the credit, like story by or written by. He's a Hollywood screenwriter. He wrote Collateral. He wrote some of the Pirates of the Caribbean films. He was the one who had originally written the original version of this, which was the movie. So this was originally going to be a movie. Then they were like, no, forget that. We're going to make a 6-episode show out of it. That guy, Hossein Amini, who you see in the credits, he was the guy who turned it into a 6-episode show. And then from there, they rewrote it to make it less like The Mandalorian. And that's the version that the final people who made this show worked on. Every time you see Stuart Beatty, it means there's elements in that episode that were from the original movie. And I think this scene was the climax of the original movie. And it was probably the thing that got carried through this entire production. Like, okay, we know we want to do this big scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan facing off. And I feel like that dialogue has been set for a really long time because it was really good. And I think the whole show maybe formed itself around that scene. Because that was like the payoff moment. Yeah.
It was like the Goodwill Hunting. It's not your fault scene.
Again, it fixes, and I'm not saying this needed to be fixed, but it fixes a moment in the original movie.
Yes, did you kill my father?
where Obi-Wan, there's a way to watch it where it feels almost like he's lying to Luke. He says, your father was killed by Darth Vader, and it's very misleading, if not an outright mistruth. But now it makes more sense because that's what Anakin says to him.
Anakin says it himself.
He says, I killed Anakin, not
Darth Vader killed Anakin. Because that's what happens in A New Hope when he first meets him. Also, another little nitpicky thing, when Luke Skywalker doesn't know what a lightsaber is, and when he's given the lightsaber by Obi-Wan in A New Hope, he's, like it's a fantastical device.
He looks directly down the scope of it. Yeah.
Well, he's trying to figure out what it is. And they're like, well, wait a second. Luke Skywalker's never seen a lightsaber. So Reva's coming in having a lightsaber battle. They specifically, when he's leaving that bedroom to go run in the desert away from Reva, he's halfway out the window when she walks in.
Right.
He never sees the lightsaber.
Never sees it. Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, they did that quite carefully. And then he's knocked out.
He's running above her. She uses the Force to loosen the rocks underneath him as he's running, but you wouldn't necessarily see that if you were running.
No.
And like rocks fell, you might just assume
he assumed he tripped. He does not know what the Force is. He doesn't know what
they shot around it.
It was clever. It was clever, and it was specific enough to be noticeable. You were like, okay, he would, and if he saw anything, it would be like a thing with a hood, like a Tusken Raider, which is what they told him was happening.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good observation.
We're on the move. Yeah,
that's also for eagle-eyed fans. The toy that Obi-Wan brings him, the T-16 Skyhopper mini model, that's in Luke's bedroom in A New Hope. That toy. So they're doing that purposefully to this is a bit of the set. This is how he got that bit of the set.
Yeah. So. When he cracks his lightsaber in through the broken helmet. I think this is for me, this is as powerful of a scene as Revenge of the Sith, when he says, you are the chosen one. And when Darth Vader says, you've already saved me, to Luke Skywalker. These are the three scenes. And he says, Anakin, and the distorted Anakin's gone. I am what remains. I'm sorry, Anakin, for all of it. And then he, says, I'm not your failure. And then he says, my friend is truly dead. Goodbye, Darth. Yeah. I mean, just unbelievable.
The Darth thing is
there's a second scene I thought was incredibly powerful too, that also got me a little bit emotional, if I'm being honest. It's and I think this is my second favorite scene from the episode, which is Obi-Wan comes back to say goodbye and bring the toy.
Right.
Lola. Bring Lola back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And, Princess Leia, who is clearly wise beyond her years and has this Force, as we've discussed, superpower that is more around communication and influence and whatever. Princess Leia Organa, you are wise, discerning, kind-hearted. These are the qualities that came from your mother, but you're also passionate and fearless, forthright. These are the gifts from your father. Both are exceptional. We're exceptional people who bore an exceptional daughter. I mean... the fact that he speaks so kindly about Anakin and preserves Anakin's forthrightness and fearless and passion. He still sees so much good in Anakin, which now makes so much sense for Obi-Wan. Now I start to think about this. When I think about Star Wars now, what this has done for me is, it's the story of the Skywalker family. That's what Lucas always says. To me, it's the story of Obi-Wan. It really is. Him having to deal with this situation, to me, is an equally... the lens through which he had to witness this, him as the witness, is to me a very important part of Star Wars. I don't know how you feel about it, Lon.
The theme of separating Anakin and Vader and coming to that understanding runs through the whole episode. It's really handled well. I mean, I think you could read that as why he can now see Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon was the one who was Anakin's the chosen one. We have to train the boy. He's the future. He's going to bring balance. And you could sense that Obi-Wan maybe has been holding on to a little anger about that for all this time. Well, you were wrong, old man. He ended up destroying everything. And now that he's made his peace with Anakin is truly gone. And, Anakin's been replaced by this other guy. Now he's ready to make his peace with Qui-Gon Jinn and re-encounter his old master. I thought that was
it did seem like he was ready to move on. Or he was able to move on.
Qui-Gon says it specifically, I've been here the whole time. It was you. You're now ready to see me.
Mm-hmm.
What a year for Liam Neeson. Also popped up in Atlanta. He's showing up in all the big shows.
He's in Atlanta? I haven't...
there was a great episode of Atlanta where Liam Neeson does a surprise cameo.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the Liam Neeson thing they would just hold to the end. I thought when he was buried in rubble, they would do it.
Yeah, they teased it throughout.
All right, Molly, any other observations on the episode or things you loved or hated or?
I mean, I thought it was
feeling?
lovely. I thought it was
Okay,
like the
great.
perfect wrap up to this little special movie. And I'm actually on the side of the people who say I don't, even though it was lovely and you would want to see more, I don't think we need a season 2. I thought that was just like a perfect arc to connect the series and go into New Hope, and they should leave us wanting more.
Yeah, I mean, I would be fine. I think there's more. If you wanted to bring Obi-Wan back in some way, I think you could come up with. There's obviously ways to tie him in with the Mandalore story that they're also telling. I don't know. I don't think this storyline needs to continue with Obi-Wan and young Leia and his what's going on in Tatooine. I feel like we've seen that now, and I'm ready for other stuff in this pre-rebellion, early rebellion world.
I would like, yes. One other note: this question of how did Reva survive the second time she got hit with the lightsaber? They haven't actually done, but we'll assume a back to tank or something.
It's
the first time, they're in the Mandalorian. They showed Grogu at the Jedi Temple as a youngling, being like saved and being like Reva was in the Mandalorian series, I believe. So there is a theory that he force healed Reva as they were leaving the Jedi Temple because he can force heal and saved her. That because they're always like, how did she get saved? I could see Grogu coming out and there are injured Padawan or injured younglings everywhere, and he just puts his hands on her.
Also,
like
to be fair, I sort of always assume, this is really dark, but I was like, well, it probably cauterizes the wound. So if it's just a wound and it's not fatal,
when your hand
pretty
gets cut off by a
cauterized,
lightsaber,
you're not bleeding to death.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that what we're seeing now is, I feel like Lucasfilm's overall strategy is starting to become clear. It's just clear out these time periods that you can then start to like seed and fertilize with stories, and then you can keep building on them over time. But like they're just setting all of this foundation for further storytelling, and all of this I think is depth. All these characters are now
I have a theory
in play in this world to cross over in other shows and make connections between all of them.
My theory is completely different. I think that this is all a setup to do the entire Clone Wars as a 100-episode series. I think that
100.
I think it could literally be like a 10-year series because there's so much that occurs. You have Anakin as a child, you have Anakin as an adult, and you just have the Senate, and you have the Clone Wars, which were incredible. So, and that could flash forward and even flash backwards. So this concept of just flashing back and forward, like they did in the series, they didn't do it too much, but they did a bunch of flashbacks, right, to the younglings and the Jedi Academy. They could basically take the Clone Wars animated series. It's a blueprint. That's probably what Ewan McGregor, and that's why Hayden and Ewan did this. They need to secure the bag. They need the bag. Neither of these individuals are in a franchise. Am I correct? Nobody's in Marvel. Nobody's got some huge payday.
I mean, like they're doing fine, but yeah, like Hayden Christensen could definitely use a big franchise role for sure.
That's true.
And
He needs a
hyaluronic acid.
He's
and
not
maybe like a collagen.
Yeah, he's not working as much. Ewan is fine.
But
like,
Ewan's fine.
No,
But
Ewan
saying, has he had
I'm
a
not
franchise?
worried about Ewan.
Has he had a franchise?
No, but I feel like that's by choice. That's,
okay.
He could.
Well,
he
you know
could
what?
Get,
At some point, you have to make the right choice, which is to secure the bag.
He could be in a Marvel if he wanted to be, or he could do a DC. If
could he? I don't
to.
know. It hasn't happened, so he needs to secure the bag.
He's Obi-Wan.
I know that, but he loves this role.
He's
so I think they did this with the understanding, if this went well and the audience reacted to it, that Kathleen Kennedy would give them the bag to do some really juicy project.
I mean, my only caveat is I don't know if they would. I think Clone Wars itself it's very episodic. It's very like, here's what's happening on this world. Here's what's happening on this world. Here's what's going on with Mandalore. Here's what's going on with these guys. And they are already doing like the Bad Batch have their own show, and Ahsoka's getting her own show. I almost don't know if what the fans want is let's recreate these moments you already know.
The fans
so
didn't
much as
see Clone Wars. Nobody's seen it though.
At this point, I think a lot of people
anymore.
Nobody watches animation.
I think it's let's spin all of this stuff off.
We'll see who's right.
Cad Bane showing up in Mandalorian is the blueprint to me. It's like how many of these characters can we ping off and have them show up over here or over there? Bring that and it's just like what we see in Marvel, where it's like, oh, let's bring Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch together and give them a team up movie, and we'll give Hulk a cousin who gets her own show, and I think it's going to be that thing where you could just keep expanding out forever. That'd be my guess.
Molly, any guesses here?
No.
I'm buying. Based on this,
you're in deep, man.
I saw a guy pitch this week,
but I do think. Hold on, it's my turn. But I do think that it is clear that our future will only ever be made up of Star Wars and Marvel. So your prediction of 100 episode live action Clone Wars makes sense from that perspective deeply. Yes.
All right.
Also, I'm loving bitchy Grand Inquisitor, and I want to see more of him.
Well,
he is so snotty. So, like his face when he has to sort of be quiet and not chase after the path, when he's just like,
he's like, bad decision again, Darth.
Right? Like,
but
he's just
I can't talk back to
Christian.
Darth because he'll crush me.
Makes me laugh.
That was actually a noticeable. The Inquisitor is like a very regal character in Rebels, where he's just like, oh, we lost another ship. I guess I'll have to murder these people. You know, he's just like a really sadistic, evil, but also with like a great accent kind of character.
It's Jason Isaacs in the TV show, I think.
Is it? Yeah.
I believe it is.
It's pretty great. I am thinking about buying stonks now with the market correction, and I've been looking at Disney. I've always wanted to just start building a position in Disney. And this show, I don't like to give stock advice, but I just think if you can execute on this level so consistently, I think that these characters, they're going to redo, I believe. This is another prediction from Jacob. Prediction 1. And I'm going to play my prediction on this series in a moment. I'm going to take my little mini victory lap here. We need to always, this is the job of the producers. You're judged based on your ability to find my previous predictions that are correct and feature them. And then any ones that are not correct, go back into the archive and retcon that shit and just delete them. But I believe they're going to do Clone Wars in some fashion. Then I believe, and I watched a video on what Lucas's actual plans were for the next 3, and he gave them the stories for the sequels.
Yes.
They didn't use them. The leaking now has that what happened in the sequels, which makes so much sense when you see Obi-Wan and how they treated Leia and made her the featured character. The person who was going to bring balance to the Force was not Luke. The person who was going to bring balance to the Force was Leia. Or by an interpretation, Luke, then Leia bring balance to the Force because they're twins. This makes much more sense. Twins, balance, you get it? So here's what happens. The villain was supposedly going to be Darth Maul. And Darth Maul had an apprentice. And then Leia is running the Galactic Senate and trying to get rid of all the pockets of evil. So now it's kind of the reverse. In the Star Wars series, in the middle series, 4, 5, and 6, they're trying to get rid of the rebels. She's trying to get rid of the evil empire, remnants of the empire kind of situation, including Darth Maul, who wants to reconstitute it. And then she uses her power to extinguish this and bring the Jedi back. Luke becomes runs his Jedi order with Leia becomes a Jedi, and they produce a whole new crop of Jedi, and we're back to where we were at the start of the Clone Wars. But it's Princess Leia who is the featured character in that series, but of course they didn't go with his story. Does that jive with what you've read? That would be the theme of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, Leia having like more of a central role earlier on, and those characters being more just generally central to it, I think was a big thing that Lucas had. I've never read Duel of the Fates is the other one that they talk about, where it was like the Colin Trevorrow version instead of the J.J. Abrams version, which is out there in the world and you can read, which is a very different direction, but it's still the
story of those guys.
Rey, Kylo Ren, Finn, First Order.
If you just think about it on a money grab, the amount of money they made from the sequels, Force Awakens, yada, yada, Last Jedi, to get a second swing at bat and make them again and get all that money again, just as a marauding capitalist.
Why would you not? And that's what Disney is, which is
So
see,
all
also
of a sudden,
not exactly advice, but kind
to
of
get
advice,
3 more and say, listen, this isn't all, because now that Marvel and DC are like, oh yeah, by the way, you could do anything you want in your universe. You just call it like an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
They could just take the alternate
And
timeline thing and
that's
say,
not even. I
Mhm.
mean, even Marvel didn't invent like Star Trek Generations was just that. Like, you want to do a Picard Kirk team up movie? Okay, there's a time. There's a
Alright.
time rift. You
let's
could
end with
obviously.
my.
You could obviously do that with Star Wars. There's a force power that allows you to rewrite the past. There's a portal that they find to an alternate reality. You know, it's Star
Whatever.
Wars.
All right. Here's my prediction from the beginning of the show. I don't know what episode this was. 1 minute. We'll see you on the other side. I think they haven't explained all the scars on Darth Vader when we take the helmet off in Return of the Jedi. You know how there's a big, deep scar on his head?
Yeah.
I'm going to make another crazy
right-
prediction.
right here,
Look at you. You've just been like waiting for me to get there.
Yeah.
He's like, come on.
I was waiting for you to get there. You got there.
And he hits him in the head.
Here's what I think happens. I think Reva dies during this. I think it becomes like a 3 or 4 person battle where Obi-Wan or Darth Vader kills Reva. I mean, who knows? They both hate her. And then somehow Obi-Wan bests Darth Vader. Darth Vader's besting him the whole time. And he cracks his, beautiful helmet, which is perfect at this point, and puts that scar on his head that eventually Luke Skywalker sees. And that's how that
Interesting.
scar, because that scar is not coming up in the back of the tank. I looked for it.
Yeah. He's got that it's almost like an indent in his
Indent in his head.
step. Yeah.
Well, there, look at this.
Oh.
Here it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
Oh,
there it is.
that's it. Yep.
You're right that we don't see a pronounced wound on the top of his scalp, which could definitely.
Nope. All right, there you have it, folks.
There you go.
And to be honest, if you have seen Rebels, you saw possibly Ashoka did that too. I don't know if they redo that battle because it's so similar.
I mean,
Who knows?
to be fair, he did crack his helmet open, but there wasn't a wound. in
Well, we
this
didn't see the
Obi-Wan.
wound. It was kind of dark, but yeah, I like
It
how
was
they.
probably there. I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
It's,
I mean, I
it's
think
hard.
it's
It's a little hard to see with bits of the helmet sort of,
Could be
sort
there.
of still there.
Could be
yeah.
there.
All right, listen, Lon, this has been great. We'll finish
Yeah.
up the Star Trek, and
Right,
then we'll
we're
find
also
another
gonna finish
hopefully an entrepreneurial show or go to an entrepreneurial movie. That's the other thing I want to do.
I think there's a bunch of stuff coming up. We can figure it out.
All right, everybody follow Lons and go to inside.com/streaming, honest trailers, yada yada. But follow him; he's good on Twitter. If you like a mixture of pop culture and far left, like
Oh, it's not that far.
dunking on people, it's sort of like the anti-sax. Twitter account.
Yeah, that's how I see myself as the.
It's sort of like the light and the dark. He's kind of.
I think that's a good way to describe it.
I love your Twitter. You're great on Twitter. Twitter.com/Lons.
Agreed.
I appreciate
Agreed.
that.
See you next time.
Hey guys.
Bye bye. All right. In other news, we'll just do a quick transition here. You may have remembered Molly. I had once again stepped in it, where I couldn't control my honest opinion about something. It comes up once in a while where I just get a little too candid. I go full J-Cal. Well, remember I went full J-Cal with the CEO of Jewel when I was at a party socially, and I told him, like, how do you sleep at night? Yada, yada. Well, he's not sleeping well at night right now.
Yeah, not at all. I was sorry. I was just basking in the
I don't know. Yeah.
the genius of that trend. You're like, and now. Yeah. So the FDA is banning the sale of Juuls in the US. Other e-cigarettes will, flavored e-cigarettes will still be available, but apparently Juul is just, I mean, honestly, I think probably has just been too much of a bad actor is what this ultimately comes down to. I mean, it's coming at a moment where so many other dangers are freely available to American children that it's kind of hilarious, but sure, we don't have Juul anymore. They're protecting you from looking like a jerk on the street, at least with this one brand. But I mean, to the point that you made and the full J-Cal emotion.
Yeah.
Think about what you have to do to get yourself banned. And I think what you have to do is just constantly ignore every warning sign that you've ever gotten that this could happen and just be a bad actor with respect to marketing your product to kids, to continuing to do so even after you've been told not to do so, to just
they
come for the children over and over.
I think the way this went down too was Juul was trying to get a path to be, they were looking for some path to make this legally clear. So they applied to sell these back in 2020. And back then the FDA had banned mint and fruit flavored vapes to try to cut down on teen vaping, only allowing tobacco and menthol flavored products. So just keep it true to the pitch that Juul and others had, which is this is a bridge off of to get you to stop smoking. You could believe that is a true statement. Like, are Juuls safer than smoking a pack or two of cigarettes a day? I think without even, it
Without a
seems
doubt.
that it would be without knowing the exact chemistry, but that seems plausible since one is burning and one is vaping. It
And one
does
has
seem
tar
plausible.
in it. It's burning tar.
Yes.
This is
So,
not
yeah.
that. This is addictive in the
Right.
nicotine sense. And there are complaints that there could be like chemicals in the actual Juul devices. But yeah, is it safer than cigarettes? Without question. Is it
So,
getting kids hooked on nicotine like even earlier? Without question.
of course. So I guess you could still get vapes, like blue raz and lychee or leche. How do you pronounce lychee berry? Leche or lychee?
Lychee. Yeah,
Lychee,
lychee.
ice and
Lychee.
strawberry banana. I mean, it sounds like I'm a Joe and the Juice when I'm ordering those things. According to Time, shout out to the new owner of Time, the CEO of Salesforce. Companies like Puff Bar avoided FDA regulations by using lab-made nicotine that some in the vaping industry argue the FDA can't regulate. Interesting. Despite the ban, FDA said, quote, if they didn't see clinical information that suggests there is an immediate risk to using Juul products. Despite the ban, they're saying this.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, I think this is less about, there's also, I think, an order this week about demanding that cigarette makers reduce the amount of nicotine in cigarettes
really?
too. So there is like this coincides with a bit of a larger federal crackdown. But I have to be honest, I think this ban is about one company because they haven't banned vaping writ large. And there are these other companies that are making these like kid-friendly flavors and all of that. I think this is really about saying, hey, Juul, like you're not reformable.
Here's the lesson for founders. Be a good actor. Always be on the side of the consumer you're serving and on the side of society. You have to be able to tell that story. I'll give some examples in a moment. I think begging for forgiveness in certain verticals, as opposed to asking for permission is a mistake. And so here's the example. If you're Airbnb and you get a bunch of people who can stay cheaper, and go to, as I always talk about, like you can go on a longer vacation, or there's more options for people maybe who aren't rich to go on vacations because they get a better deal and they couldn't afford the $200 a night hotel, but they get a 3-bedroom for $200 a night. So instead of a family having 3 hotel rooms for $600 a night, you get 200 for 3 bedrooms. That family is going to, and those consumers are going to go to bat for you. And then if you're, I don't know, you're trying to make extra money and you got a, ADU in your backyard, you got an extra bedroom and you want to stay at your friend's house and rent out your apartment, and that's how you pay your rent or your mortgage. Like, okay, now you've got another constituent go back to you. Who's the constituent, Molly, here that's going to bat for Juul?
Yeah.
The only constituents you would have would be doctors. This is how I would have played it.
Yeah.
I would have worked with doctors and worked with people who had lung cancer and for people who couldn't get off of these. And I would have had a plan not to make fruity flavors and maximize profitability, but I would just plan to say, listen, here's 100% of our focus. When you come to our website, when you look at our advertising, here's all the stories of people who were smoking 2 packs a day. They moved to the vape. Here's what their lungs look like when they moved to the vape. Here's what their lungs look like now. And we hope that we have 4 products they can buy. 5 units of nicotine, 4 units, 3 units, 2 units, 1 unit, a half a unit. Mm-hmm. They can go all the way down this nice curve. And here's the plan we give them. They work with their doctor and boom.
Yeah.
Then you would have all those people saying, you know what, I was addicted to nicotine and I went from a 5 to a 4 to a 3. I'm currently a 2. I hope to get down to 0.5. Mm-hmm. And they would have this high road where they could say, look, yes, of course, people are going to steal them. And yes, we make 1 or 2 flavors that you can get that make it more delightful than smoking a cigarette. But yeah, this is not for kids.
And instead they went the exact, because that when vaping first arrived on the scene, I knew I had friends who were like, well, I'm vaping now and I feel like an idiot, but it's better than smoking. And it's safer. And you could literally have created a safer, but addictive product, right? Like we all tolerate caffeine in our life. Like caffeine is an addictive substance. Sugar is an addictive substance. You could have been like, yes, nicotine on its own is addictive, but it's no worse than any other stimulant and it's safer than smoking. And you could have written that into billions. And instead they literally, Juul specifically followed the actual big tobacco playbook of get kids hooked. and keep
Yeah.
them as your customer forever. And it's like, I don't.
Here's
feel salty at
what
all.
not to do. I'm going to say don't make ads that look like this. If you're watching youtube.com/thisweekend, or shout out to our friends at Spotify for having video in their player, and iTunes, Apple Podcasts, you can search, and there's a This Week in Startups videos if you want to watch the video. But it looks like an iPad. They copied the iPod ads, and you just basically have young people, who look like they're going out to Coachella with their cool vapes and the cool design. And, and here's the New York Times story that kind of puts the nail in their coffin from back in 2020. Juul bought ads appearing on Cartoon Network and other youth sites, suit claims. So this is a lawsuit. I don't know exactly where it wound up. And who knows, this could be a case of just Juul bought ads on an ad network and those ads wound up on these places. But if you are advertising something, you can pull up the New York Times story if you want, just to show the headline there. If you are...
Nickelodeon, 17 Magazine, the Cartoon Network, and educational sites for middle school and high school students.
Yeah. So this is the question, is like, how thoughtful are you being about doing this, and you can see some of the other ads in the New York Times story where they're talking about this is the evolution. And they're showing like, an old joystick from an Atari 2600 or old brick cellular phone. If you're going to, make a product like this and you're going to break some rules, you just have to make sure you talk about storytelling with a lot of our founders, Molly. You do a little talk on storytelling. Like the storytelling here was really bad. It was like a smoking gun storytelling.
And the product market fit, right? They were like, our product market fit is teenagers. Full stop. There's no evidence otherwise.
If you have a marketing department that's making ads directed at kids, and everybody who works in government are parents and older people, or they have grandkids. This is like another pragmatic thing you have to think about as an entrepreneur. Who's going to set the rules for you? If you don't regulate yourself, you will be regulated. That's just basic rules of the road. So either you regulate yourself and you get ahead of it, or, you will be regulated. How did Airbnb regulate themselves, Molly? They put their own insurance in place. So when people said, well, what happens if somebody's room gets trashed? They said, oh, well, we have this insurance thing here. Oh, what about safety and security? They said, oh, we have a rating system. Anybody can rate anybody. Oh, how do you protect against a new person? Well, we give a warning. This person has never had anybody stay at their place. And I think they have verified photos as well. So there were all these things where you said like, well, how do you know if a hotel is safe? Well, in Airbnb, does any hotel let you post reviews if you're a verified customer on their website? That doesn't exist in the world, but it exists at Airbnb. So Airbnb could actually say, look, we have a higher rating here. Are you allowed to rate New York City or, San Francisco cab drivers? Do you even know who your cab driver was? No. Do you have minute by minute trail of, a San Francisco cab in case something horrible happened? They murdered or attacked a customer? No. But does Uber and Lyft have minute by minute of that? Yes.
Yeah.
And do you know the name of your driver? Does the driver know your name? Like, do you rate each other? That rating system gave a lot of high ground to Uber when people were talking about safety and security, as did the minute by minute GPS. So it was trackable. Because this is what would happen. People would take a cab and nobody would know what ever happened to that person. So we don't know what cab they got in. We don't know whose car they got in. They got in a cab. We didn't look at the license plate. We don't know the license number. Boom. So let's do a quick. So anyway, congratulations to society and to the people at Juul. Congratulations to society and to the people at Juul. My same message to the people at TikTok.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourselves. You should take a deep look in the mirror. There are plenty of ways to make money in this world. You chose to sell your souls, to be on the wrong side of history. And I'm not going to use my previous catchphrase because it's inappropriate. But my catchphrase for these people is now, I hope the money was worth it. I hope the money was worth it. Every night when you go to bed, if you work at Juul or TikTok, you're going to hear my voice. When your head hits the pillow, hear my voice. I hope the money was worth it. And then you got to sleep. You're going to be restless when you hear that voice. It's been another great episode of This Week in Startups. Great job on the interview. And we got to jump to the interview.
We got to transition to the interview, yeah.
All right. And next up on the show, we're going to talk a little bit about prescription drugs and how the United States is just getting absolutely ripped off. Molly, tell us a little bit about the interview.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great interview with a guy who's doing the opposite, basically. We get an incredible, it's AJ Loyacano. It's AJ Loyacano, who is the founder and CEO of a company called Capital RX, just closed $106 million Series C from B Capital and General Catalyst. And he gives us an incredible history of how drug prices in America got to the point that they're at, which is, you know, costing people and pharmacies billions and lining all kinds of pockets, and the ways in which Capital RX and others are trying to fix that. He's also just like he's a copywriting machine. He's like, when you have the perfect market, you never have to innovate. You consolidate, and points out that 80% of pharmacy benefit manager market share is controlled by 3 companies. And that's what Capital RX is trying to disrupt. It's really interesting. And it's just a very, very cogent and slightly infuriating interview. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
And a lot of people have asked us, well, isn't Mark Cuban doing something similar? We'll have the CEO of that company on.
Yeah, and we asked him about that, and it turns out they're quite complementary. They
Okay,
can be each other's customers.
Can't wait. I'm going to listen right now. Enjoy, everybody.
Enjoy.
Okay, anything else we need? Intro.
Outro.
We just did the outro, didn't we? Oh, outro. Here we go. 3, 2. What a great interview. Well done again, Molly Wood.
Thanks, man. And thanks to Lon for coming on, talking about streaming with us. And tomorrow, we'll have a great interview. Jason is going to be talking to Praying for Exits, the anonymous VC satirical account that, you know, as with all satire, is often quite on the nose.
Yeah, pretty poignant stuff. And then we'll have another OK Boomer segment from producer Rachel reporting live from the disastrous NFT NYC.
Doesn't seem like such a disaster. Rachel's having a lot of fun.
Is she living her best life again? She's living my best life again.
Living your best life.
I can't go this weekend. I can't go. You can't.
We got this daily show. We're tied to this desk every day.
But Rachel's out there. She's like living our best life. Wow, way to go. Good job, Rachel. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Bye.
All right, 3, 2.
All right.
Intro 13. 3, 2.
Hey, everybody. We have got a packed Thursday show for you today. It's a short week, so we have to give you like a double length show.
All right. Yes, the Obi-Wan series finale is tremendous, and we're going to talk about it all. You can skip ahead if you haven't seen the finale yet and go to the other great content in the episode. But Lon Harris is back with us to discuss, what this means for streaming and the episode itself. Very satisfying for me.
Very satisfying conversation. And again, there's still lots of other content coming up. We're going to do a quick news hit on the FDA taking action against Juul. And then I've got an interview with a Series C healthcare CEO. They say it can't be done, but he's trying to disrupt drug prices.
Yes, this is AJ from Capital RX, laser focused on transparency and prescription drug pricing, like the Mark Cuban company, which we'll also have on the show at some point. And just, great to see founders doing the right thing, especially with this news of Juul, which did the wrong thing for a decade.
Definitely. It's really interesting because we have that news and then a CEO who quite specifically is saying, I'm not taking the dirty money. That's the money we're never going to take. It's going to be a great show.
All right. Stick with us.
Woohoo. Right, thank you.
All right.
Great job today. And you got places to be, Jason.
Got places to be, people to see. All right, June.
Good luck, man. Good luck. Wish I could listen to that one live.
Oh boy, that is a reason why it's a closed set.
If you're in the audience and you're listening and your name is Eric Weiner or
your mom's outside, she's got your fish sticks and your mom's outside. She said you got to finish your math homework. You're in trouble.
We've got some liquid IV for you. Email producers@thisweekinstartups.com. You won a giveaway from earlier this week. Yes. That's Eric Weiner and Edgar Rojas.
And your mom is waiting outside with your sweater. She said you forgot your sweater. If you could come outside.
She brought your hot lunch because she knows you don't like sandwiches.
I did the Pledge of Allegiance
she
every
gave
day.
you a cold sandwich and she came back with a hot grilled cheese. Your mom is outside with your hot grilled cheese and your tater tots. Your mom. That's my favorite comeback. Somebody was like, You're terrible at your podcast. I was like, oh, your mom, like, I just always go to that and I just have to stop doing it. It's so wrong.
It's so funny though.
It's
like, that's what she said. I'll never stop.
Oh God. No, please don't get me canceled because you're inappropriate. That would be.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the problem.
Now